Come in, welcome. My name is Jared and this is Arthur. We'll get started in a few minutes here. If you all wouldn't mind just typing in the chat where you're from, that would be great to get a sense of where you're at and maybe what company you're with as well. We'd love to keep this as interactive as possible. Rogers, Arkansas. AR, I think, is Arkansas. Yeah, AZ is Arizona. So, Arthur, where are you from exactly? So I know, whereabouts.
Yeah, no worries. So our head office is in Utah, but I'm actually up in the Great White North in Alberta in Canada. So
Nice. That's
yeah, we've
awesome.
got a couple of feet of snow outside, and it's good.
Alberta is where Winnipeg is, right? Or is that different?
Different. Yeah. So we're farther
Okay,
west. Yeah, we're
farther
above
left.
Montana. Yeah.
All I know is it's way too cold. Honestly, I work with a lot of people from Canada and I just don't quite understand the love for like negative 40 degrees. But hey, it's pretty though, right?
Yeah. It's fun to go outside and have your eyelashes kind of freeze together. So
Yeah. The first time I had a friend moved to North Dakota, he told me that like car warmers were a thing
yeah.
and like keep the engine running. And I'm like, wait, that's crazy. I'm from Florida, so I didn't really understand that you had to warm your car. If anything, you have to cool it down.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, gotta keep
Well,
things warm.
that's cool. Yeah, well, Mary, thank you for joining from Rogers, Arkansas, Bookkeeper Plus. A few more people coming in, and then we'll get started. Um, and let me go ahead and share the screen. Okay, there we go. We can see this. Hopefully that doesn't get too big. Perfect. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and get started. So my name's Jared Smith. Brandon Bruce is my co-founder, but he had a customer call to deal with last minute. So I built the app. Been a co-founder since the beginning. And with us today, we have Arthur. I'm going to mispronounce your last name, but how do you say it?
Yeah, it's Arthur Boutin. I'm
Boutin. Okay.
French backend, being from Canada as well. So yeah.
That's awesome. And Arthur's from Reach Reporting, and we'll be talking about both Uncat and Reach today. So thank you everyone so much for joining. This is recording live on and streaming on LinkedIn, but we'll post the recording after as well. And please send questions over the chat. Let us know if there's something specific you want to talk about as we go through. So when I first talked to people about Uncat and really why the company started, spreadsheets were the number one reason that we came about, as many apps do in accounting. So we started about 5 years ago, and spreadsheets still today are a big thing that people go back and forth with their clients and their other firm coworkers. And Uncat focuses, at least in the beginning, focus exclusively on managing the unknowns that come across your books. So spend money on Venmo. What is that for? You get money from some other PayPal. What is that for? So Uncat's expanded beyond that to move to things like getting back requests like W-9s and reports, as well as manage receipts like you would see in Dex and Expensify. And Arthur, you want to kind of talk a bit about how Reach kind of simplifies the automation as far as staying away from things like spreadsheets and likewise.
Yeah, absolutely. Spreadsheets are super powerful. There's lots of really cool things, but they come with some pretty inherent challenges. And so, what Reach does is marries the power of a spreadsheet with the power of automation. And so, very excited to dive into that with you guys here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love any time that we get to work with a technology, or in our cases, builds a technology that makes things that take a lot longer, typically with a spreadsheet or just manually, and makes it faster and simpler. So I think both of our companies really focus on that. Data quality, and part of that is, I mean, the big part of that is data quality. If you're imagining you have spreadsheets you're sending back and forth in the case of Uncat, when you need to let a client choose, is this business expenses or office expenses, or is it personal income, or which of these 10 locations is this tied to? Well, if you don't have automation to keep those accounts up to date, you're going to be stuck getting answers back from the client that don't exactly know or that don't line up with what the current state of the books is. So for at Uncat, that's a big part of why we have the automation to be able to sync things in real time back and forth together. Those manual processes lead to issues, missing information, and just wasted time in general. And we find that on average, clients will save, or a firm will save around 20 hours or so a month just on clients from going back and forth with all of this when they move to Uncat. And then in Reach's case, I mean, can you speak a bit to the what you do to handle data quality and kind of keeping that all in sync would be great, Arthur.
Yeah, we actually don't do a ton with data quality. We expect it to be coming into our tool, all sorted. And so that's why Reach and Uncat is a great pair. You guys can look after keeping the data clean, and then we report it and we make it nice and understandable for our clients.
Absolutely. And with any reporting software, I'm always sitting there thinking, man, why do these companies exist when QBO does all this reporting already? And then I can ask the same thing of Uncat. Why does Uncat exist when QBO already has categorization? And I mean, the answer is simple, at least in our case, it's clients don't understand the stuff that's in QuickBooks or Xero or Desktop. They need it simplified for people. So from your case in reporting, I'm assuming there's a big focus um, on making things simpler and easier to do than they would otherwise do in their books, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's business owners, the language of business is finance, and sometimes it's a foreign language, right, for business
Mm.
owners. So making it understandable is kind of what we're all about.
Absolutely. So as far as Uncat's side and simplifying the collection organization, transaction categorization is the biggest piece. So when you connect to Uncat, I'll show that in a minute with our demo. You're immediately presented with transactions that match certain sync criteria. So if you have a client, they have an Ask My Accountant account, an uncategorized expense account. We can bring those or any other account in, and then they get to work in real time on those transactions by providing a description, category, customer, whatever. Or it could just be all transactions missing an attachment or a class or a customer. They can do the same thing with those. Related to that are requests, being able to schedule reminders to clients, hey, send me your latest W-9s and attach them to this vendor. Send me your latest bank statements. Can you let me know about this thing that, on the P&L? And then finally, receipts as well. So we recently, earlier this year, launched a new module. It's just bundled with Uncat as is for no extra cost to be able to upload receipts from email, web, and then text. And it will match those into your books, parse them automatically, and give you a way essentially to get transactions that may not even be in your bank feed into the books. And for us, everything is trying to do things simpler than the status quo, but also faster. So if you're used to something like an Expensify or Dext, there's a million things in there that you can use, but for us, we've really simplified it just for accountants and bookkeepers and their clients without all the extra bells and whistles. So as far as data chaos to clean books with Uncat, the biggest thing that you're looking at is never seeing transactions that aren't in categories or classes or without attachments to the end of each month. So all those types of rules that you want to keep your books clean with and that you'd otherwise have to ask your clients for, that's what we're getting out of the way and handling by putting the client to work on those transactions. So I'm gonna switch my screen briefly to Uncat. And here we go. So you can see that, right, Arthur?
Yes, that's coming in great.
Perfect. So when you're in Uncat, it's very straightforward to sign up. You just go to uncat.com and you'll start by adding a client. So we support QuickBooks Online, Xero, Desktop, or optionally no platform if you don't want to use the transactions, but just requests and receipts. And like I talked about earlier, as soon as you get in here, you'll start to see transactions that have synced in. So in this case, I've got a client, Tiger Inc. on QuickBooks. There's no close date. We're syncing back about a year. And we immediately see a handful of transactions coming in that are tied to certain sync criteria we've set. So in this case, it's yellow because the client also has a similar dashboard when they're invited. They get a simple magic link to log in. And they've gone in on their dashboard and said, this PayPal income was a deposit and it was income checks. In this case, it's saying, oh, I need to review this as the accountant before I approve it and sync it to the books. but this might still be a little vague. So I can go in here and I can ask them, hey, can you tell me what exactly this is for? But if we go down here to an expense, this pretty much tells me exactly what I need to do. So software bills for the office, I can go in as the accountant and do office supplies and software, categorize it, approve it, and be done with it. And all of this can be adjusted by the sync settings for a client. So I'm telling it, give me the ask my accountant transactions, anything that's there, uncategorized expense, asset, income. But you can also do things like location, class, vendor attachments, anytime those things are missing. And back on that client dashboard, I mentioned before the receipts and requests. So if you're constantly going back and forth with clients, asking them for certain things per month or on a regular basis, this isn't a capability we have to get that back from them. So you can ask them, hey, I need certain things from you, and I need you to send an attachment with it, and we'll make sure that validation is done. And on a regular recurring basis, they can do that. Same thing with the transactions. If it's, you can specify for a client on different clients, different specifications, what things are required. So you can make them attach a category. You can make them attach a class or a description. And then you can also give certain clients the ability to categorize themselves and do all these other things themselves. So that's Uncat, we call that superpowers. And we found about 25% or so of our clients actually have those superpowers because the firms trust those clients to do basically everything for them. And then the accountant just approves it before it switches over to the books. And then the last bit I wanted to briefly show is the receipts. So think about having unknown transactions that clients are spending money on that might not come to the bank feed, or if they do, they don't have an attachment or a receipt. They can upload those receipts from the web on here, as well as email them or send them in over text. And we will bring them in and parse out the receipts and tie it to the date the receipt was, the amount, and then you can from there match it to the books. Like in this case, it already has an expense in QuickBooks that it's matching to. You match it and it's done. It attaches the attachment to that transaction. And of course, you can go back and forth with the client. What actually step did you buy there? And last kind of thing I wanted to cover from an accounting firm perspective, you can add your coworkers and give them certain permissions or certain clients. You can change the branding and white labeling, obviously. And then on the client settings, you can add any number of users for the clients as you want as well. So you can have 1 million users on a client, and we're not going to charge you any more for that. I probably will freak out if you add 1 million accounts to my platform, but we see some clients with 20, 30, 40 employees on there, and then firms with hundreds of coworkers, and then many hundreds to thousands of clients. So it's pretty straightforward. If you're used to spreadsheets, you'll be used to Uncat, and the rest of it's just a lot of configuration that we've learned over 5 years of people that want very specific types of things to sync and not sync and require and not require. Try coding a lot of that stuff in Excel and you'll find it's next to impossible. So that's a bit of why we exist. And with that, let me drop out of here and switch back to the slides, and I'll hand it over to Arthur. Here we go. Perfect. Arthur, I think you should be good to go now. Take as long as you want. I went way too fast, so we have plenty of time.
I'm actually going to, I have my own screen that I'm going to
Oh,
share.
perfect. Yep, I'm done sharing. There you go.
Right. Okay, amazing. That's a pretty cool tool. Thanks for, I'm excited I was able to kind of be a part of that and see what how that works. I'm sure that's super, super powerful. In terms of Reach reporting, I'm super excited to talk to you a little bit about what Reach can do. And to kind of start off, I'm sure we're all coming in with various levels of experience and background. And so I think it makes sense just to kind of start with a simple foundation on, that'll help us understand a little bit more about some of the pain points that Reach solves for. And to start, the question I would pose to everybody is, what is reporting? And to explore this just a little further, I got to tell you a story about a boat. This dates back about 400 years, and it's a ship, a king, and what happens when communication breaks down. In the early 1600s, King Gustavus Adolphus of Sweden wanted to showcase his power. He ordered the construction of a magnificent warship called the Vasa. This ship was to be the most advanced and powerful in the Swedish Navy, a floating fortress, if you will, that would strike fear into Sweden's armies. It was lavishly decorated, boasting ornate carvings and armed to the teeth with dozens of heavy cannons. Now, the shipbuilders were doing their best to meet the king's grand vision, but along the way, the king kept making changes. And at one point, he demanded a second gun deck so that the ship could carry even more cannons. But there was a problem. The ship was already top heavy, and adding another gun deck made it dangerously unstable. The builders knew this, and they even conducted a test, having men run back and forth across the deck to see how the ship would respond. And it started to sway so much that they stopped the test. It was clear the Vesa wouldn't be able to handle the extra weight, but they didn't report this to the king. Why? Well, because he's the king. Who are they to question his vision? So they kept quiet, hoping for the best. The day of the launch came, and the Vesa was beautiful. It was adorned with elaborate carvings and equipped with 64 bronze carving cannons. Crowds gathered to watch the Pride of Sweden set out on its maiden voyage. But just a few minutes into the journey, a gust of wind caught the sails, the ship tilted, water poured into the open gun ports, and within moments, the Vesa sank to the bottom of the harbor. It didn't even make it a mile. The Vesa's sinking wasn't just about bad design, it was about bad communication and lack of reporting. The shipbuilders had some vital, need to know information that they knew that the ship was unstable, but they didn't share that with the king. And because of that, the king made decisions that led to disaster. And so then back to my first question, what is reporting? Well, as accountants and advisors, we hold vital, need to know information about our clients' businesses. Our clients are like King Gustavus. They have ambitious goals and they may lack the necessary insights to make informed decisions. It's our responsibility to communicate crucial details such as financial trends, potential red flags, and emerging opportunities to help guide them effectively. For instance, if a client's cash flow is dangerously low or expenses are steadily increasing, these issues can jeopardize the business's stability. By effectively reporting this information, we help clients navigate challenges and steer their businesses towards success. Therefore, reports convey or communicate the need to know information of a business. However, for clients to get value from these reports, they need the reports to resonate. If it doesn't resonate, it doesn't connect. And as advisors, we're telling a story so that the clients can know what buttons to push and what levers to pull to find success. We need the story to connect with them in a way that clearly shows what they need to do with their business based on the information garnered from the reports that we've created. Which brings us to our first problem. Too often, we're creating these reports, they're getting sent over to the clients don't read them, or maybe they do read them and then they don't understand them. Or what's even worse is they misunderstand them, which means that we make a report and they share it with the client and then they draw conclusions from it that are not true. And of course, they may act on those conclusions. And you can have a picture of the Vesa starting to sink in the distance. This can start to get dangerous. Reports need to be understood and they need to resonate. This confusion causes the client to devalue their reports and undervalue their advisor. And whether or not this is always true, what we do know for certainty is that the inverse is always true. When they value their reports, they value their advisor. So the question is, how can we help make reports resonate for clients, increasing the value of the reports and the value of the advisor? Well, clients are desperate for powerful, compelling, understandable reports, not the black and white Excel spreadsheets that they're used to getting. They need to have reports that are easy to read, that will hold their attention, that are clearly understood. They're well explained, actionable, and that look fantastic or sensational. However, this brings us to the second big problem, that it's nearly impossible to build reports that are descriptive, that tell a compelling story for multiple clients every month, and to do so at a competitive price. You think about this, we're asked a very tall order. We're asked to make these amazing, resonating, and useful reports, but it has to be affordable. And you need to be able to do it every single month. And not just for one client, sometimes hundreds of clients. And you need to be a compelling story each time. Well, you kind of get the idea. It's massive. It's a huge pain point. And so at Reach, we searched the market for tools that were available to advisors that might be able to help with this. On one hand of the spectrum, we had the hardcore data analytic tools. They were amazingly powerful and capable, but they are a massive time investment, and not just a one-time time investment, but a continually, constantly updating, servicing time investment. And you needed to have a highly skilled individual usually to wield these solutions. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the simple template reporting solutions. And there's many. They have basic functions, but they're limited in their customizations, kind of like a cookie cutter approach. So every report kind of looks like every other report. And often the generic information is not actionable enough for the clients to help them in a meaningful way. And so because the solutions were either too limited or too hardcore, when we're forced to do some kind of custom reporting, we're forced to use a tool that we all know best. And the tool that we know that can get the job done generally is a spreadsheet. We're talking Excel, we're talking Google Sheets. We can always rely on these tools. And as mentioned earlier, they are great. They have some powerful formulas, they can do some amazing things, but they have some problems, such as the data. It's not always live, it's not updating regularly. And so you have to continually bring data into the spreadsheet. And therefore, formulas are prone to breaking and there's errors. And you always have to be looking at the data to verify it, to make sure it's good. And the output looks like it comes from Excel, which if you know Excel, you know it's pretty weak. And finally, it's so time consuming that sometimes the question comes is like, is it even worth it? And so we asked, what does the perfect reporting tool look like? Well, we talked to thousands of CPAs, advisors, accountants, CFOs, controllers, bookkeepers. Think of all of these financial professionals that work with clients and financial data. And literally, we talked to thousands from all across the world. And these are some of the responses we got. First, that they needed it to be intuitively easy to learn. It had to feel second nature, feel like you already knew how to use it before you stepped in. It had to be fully customizable, that you can make any change on the fly without having to learn a new system or computing language. It needed to completely automate the mundane tasks. It needed to automate and automatically rebuild every single month. They wanted it to automatically update. It needed to be live or feel completely live. It needed to astonish their clients, making the client feel more sophisticated as they read the reports. And of course, it needed to be scalable to many clients. Templates were critical. We needed them to be able to use it for one client and then turn it into a template and use it across your entire client base in seconds. And so this was our answer.
Nothing compares to Reach reporting. Reach reporting quickly turns data into insightful reports or interactive dashboards. Easily create cash flow projections in minutes. Three-way forecasting makes business planning a cinch. Sync reports anytime data is changed, so your reports are always current. Take client collaboration to the next level with our client portal. With auto-conditional formatting, clients are quickly alerted to areas that need attention. Convert financial data into any currency you need. In seconds, consolidate multiple companies to make reporting simple. Select from a large template library to provide the right financial presentation. Completely customize any template or build one from scratch. With AI enhanced reporting, become an analytical wizard by providing an insightful summary of all the data.
All right. And so it probably sounds too good to be true, but it isn't. We have hundreds of fantastic 5-star reviews. Here's one just as an example. As things have continued to evolve and come together, more and more of what we hear at Reach is that we're changing the lives of businesses all around the world. And this is having a positive effect on the firms that use those reports to advise their business clients. These accessible, understandable reports resonate with business owners and are changing the way business is understood. And that's it for me.
And thank you, Arthur. That's awesome. So when you find people get onto Reach, I mean, what are the types of like what of the reports you're showing, like what's one that's just like super killer in terms of something you find almost everyone uses or finds big value in?
Yeah, a lot of people love our dashboards. So reports are generally designed to be printed off and delivered monthly or quarterly, like you might imagine. But one of the
Mhm.
things that's getting a lot of traction is our dashboards, where somebody can actually bookmark it on their phone or on their tablet, and in minutes see, carefully put together data in a very nice, presentable fashion that is updating constantly, and they can see it at the push of a button. So a lot of people really think that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's the real time piece and being able to customize that is absolutely key. And with Uncat, right, people can go sign up right now on uncat.com for Reach. Is it similar process? Where do they go to get access to it?
Yeah, reachreporting.com, exact same. We have a free trial where it's 30 days and you can just jump in and test it out. And we have very friendly reps that will hold your hand and carefully walk you through it as well. So we're definitely would love for people to come try us out.
Absolutely. Sounds good. No, I loved having you here today. And anybody on the attendees have any other questions for us before we close out today? And we'll give you all some time back, which is always great. 'Cause if not, then we can end it. Jason, do you see anything?
Nope, I don't see anything on my end.
Sounds good. Well, thank you everyone so much for coming. Arthur, thank you. And everyone that watched, it'll be posted after the fact in our social channels. And please make a point to reach out to us, and we're here to help. So both Uncat and Reach Reporting, thank you guys for all coming to watch us today.
Thanks, everyone.